Good morning, folks. In this video, we are going to understand the lab 4, which is about integrating your PLC values with basically the um, SCADA software, which is WinTr SCADA, right? So I'm going to open up the lab real quick and oops, yeah. And the first thing that you would use in this new lab, which is lab 4, which is integrating PLC with the SCADA software for creating process control system, is that you have your SCADA software, which is the WinTR, right? But we would be using a MODBUS simulator software over here, which is MODBUS, this guy over here, MODBUS serial TCP/IP simulator. All right, the reason for using this simulator is that, like in a practical environment, you would have the sensors installed in the field, which are taking the data from the field and passing it through the PLC, right? The PLCs, there would be like numerous PLCs installed in the fields, right? So these all PLCs would be integrated through a Modbus, and that would be configured with the Ethernet, right? So Modbus TCP/IP protocol will then provide the data from the PLCs to our SCADA screen, right? So as you have drawn a drum level control or something like that in the previous lab 3, you would have seen that you are just trying to push the values by yourself, right? But right now we are going to use a simulator to actually push those values into our SCADA screen, right? It will give you a more detailed understanding of how you can connect your PLC values with the SCADA screen, which was remaining, and that will be our last core goal for this course labs. All right, so over here, I'm gonna first open this simulator and show it to you. How does it look like? Probably another one is running. Yeah, so this is how the view of this simulator would be. You can see there are specific addresses which you would assign in the SCADA screen, which is the tag addresses, right? You define tags over there, and you have register modes over there. You can pass values from here as well, and you can pass values from your SCADA screen as well, right? So let's get started. I'm gonna open up my WinTr SCADA software first. Let's try to show you how you can establish a connection between uh, uh, the the PLC Modbus simulator and your SCADA screen. So I'm going to launch a new project first, and I'm going to name it sample sman 2 maybe. All right, now I'm currently in the domain at which I can basically starts to configure something, right? The first thing that I would do is to go into the connection manager over here. Right. So as soon as I open it up, there are like tons of things coming up, right? So we are going to configure our PLC and SCADA screen communication by using the Modbus protocol, right? So I'm going to go at the Modbus TCP RTU over here, right? So there is nothing so far, so I'm going to add a first connection over here, right? So that's my RTU connection, remote terminal unit, right now. And so I have to define something so that I can establish the connection. So I'm going to go over the network and the properties of the network, right? So right now it's Modbus remote terminal unit. We are not going to use the RTU communication. We would be using the Ethernet version, which is the TCP/IP configuration. So this, I have selected the TCP/IP configuration, and this is my default IP address for this system over here. And this is the default port that it will assign for your laptop, desktop, or whatever it is, right? And it will say that there is a timeout second of 500 milliseconds, and there is a poll interval after every 100 milliseconds, right? So yeah, this is how it will keep on checking whether my connection established is fine or not, right? So these are the defined parameters over here. I'm just going to click OK on that. And yeah, that's how I have configured first my system as a reception or sending mode at the 127.0.0.1 IP address, right? I'm going to expand that. And in the station, I'm going to go to the station properties as well. So it's very important right now because your system would have 127.0.0.1 IP, but there would be like number of PLCs that are connected with that, right? So your station address is a very key feature over here when you are trying to call which PLC data you are trying to bring into your SCADA screen, or which PLC are you trying to write from your SCADA screen to the PLC, right? So station address, since I'm just trying to just show one PLC connection, I'll use one. But if I have multiple PLCs, then I would probably have different station addresses, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll assign them the names. Rest of them is fine. You can have a look at that and you can understand that. But yeah, just for the starting thing, everything is good over here. Right, so I have defined the TCP IP. I have defined the station number, which is one. Now the next thing is that I'm going to define the tags, right? So I'm going to go for group cycle and define few tags that we are going to use. So the first one that I'm going to define is 4001. I'm going to name this tag as maybe tank 1 temperature, temperature, right? Then 4002 tank 2 temperature, and maybe 4003 tank 3 temperature, right? So yeah, these are like my three tags which are defined over here inside my first connection, inside my I would say Modbus TCP IP connection, right? So I've created the Modbus connection, I've created the station address, and then I've created the tags over there. You can define numerous tags as per your need, as per your SCADA design, right? All right, so once it's done, I'm going to open up this simulator as well over here. It's running over here. I'm going to short it over here and show it to you in the front, right? So far the simulator is it's on. It's like I haven't pressed any button yet, but yeah, it's just I have opened it up, right? Over here I have designed my tags, so I'm gonna connect that thing. I'm gonna connect that thing over here so that you would know what is going to happen. So as soon as I click the connect, it's gonna start and it's gonna keep on checking the health, right? So it says that the connection are good. There are three tags that you have established. So it says a tag count of 3, and the connection is good, and it's keep on just checking the status like we defined, right? So now my Modbus TCP IP is over here as well, right? I'm gonna write a value over here. Let's say on the 4001 register, I want to write, let's say 56 and press enter. It's not running. Why is that? Maybe I have to close it all. Close window. So yeah, it will show you when there's no connection established, or probably there would be another one running, right? It's gone into the bad mode, right? Which means now the connection is not established. I don't have any simulator running up or any PLC being connected. So I'm going to go and disconnect that first, and I'm going to open this simulator again. So it's again says at the port of 502. Probably there would be two simulators running in the last simulation. That's why we will be getting a port conflict over there. So I'm going to run that, and now you can see now it's all good over here, and it's receiving and transmitting as well, right? The simulator is working fine now. Right, so I'm going to pass a value from here at, let's say, 51, 52. So as you can see, as I write on the SCADA, the value is passed to that 0 address over here, which is 40001, right? So 52 is written over here. If I pass something like 77 over here on the 4002 address and I press the enter, it's going to pass at the first point over there, right? And similarly, if I'm going to say 98, it's going to pass 98 on the third. And you can add like multiple tags to that. And if the tag values gets n, you can go for the 40011, right? So the SCADA is interconnected with the PLC. Right now we don't have a PLC, but the SCADA is interconnected on the Modbus and it's trying to send the values to the PLC, right? And it at the same time it's also reading the value what's written on those registers, right? So it's showing me 52, 77, and 98. Now if I implement some ladder logic in the PLC, so this is my PLC right now, yeah, right? And my PLC ladder logic says that provides an output of, let's say, temperature value. There's a sensor and it says that it's just providing me a value of, let's say, 88, right? As soon as I press enter, 88 is on that PLC. So I can see that now my SCADA screen is reading the value of 88 over there. Similarly, if I say that I'm just having like 5555, four fives over there, let's see what happens here. So yeah, it's four fives that are being passed from here to here, right? So this is how you have basically what you have achieved in this part of the lab is how to communicate your SCADA screen with the PLC. Unfortunately, we don't have the PLC, so what we have tried to do, we use a simulator instead of a PLC. And the values that will be thrown out from the PLC command, like sending into the register and reading it, you can probably just read it with the register address and you have to define the tag with the same address, right? So it's going to pick the same value and the operator would now sit on the screen with his design screen. He would just write 72 or 82 and it will eventually go to the PLC and eventually in the process control, right? So if you say you want to open a valve of 15%, you'll just write the value of 15 over here. It's going to pass to this simulator or the PLC, which will eventually go to the ladder logic of the PLC, and over there something would be there written in the code how to manipulate those 15% into the 4 to 20 milliamps so that the valve should open somewhat to 15% over there in actual field, right? So yeah, this is how the demonstration is. I'm going to just touch upon one more thing here, which is register tag list, right? So over here it's defined, it's not historical, right? So you can also like save the data as a database by creating a historian over there, right? So the good thing about the SCADA systems is that you can create history of tags and the history of values, right? So I'm going to change that, like keep it on triggered. Whenever the value is going to change, I'm going to just historically save that file, that value, table 2, triggered, temperature 3. So what will happen now is that whenever a value is changed, it will keep a record in the SQL server, right? And when you have done that historical mode on, you just go to SQL tag builder and it's all done, right? The SQL has implemented that whenever there is a triggered or there is a change in the value, it should save that value and you can access that anytime if you want using the historical feature. So yeah, that's how we can communicate PLC with our SCADA screen. In the next video, we'll probably jump upon on designing few things and then we'll try to send and receive data from there. Thank you so much.